those girls in there were kicking my ass. It's hot. Let's do this. That was quite literally the most intense, hardest, fun thing I have ever done.
It's game time and I'm up one. Name something I ain't done. Name a body that's my type. Air Jordan, I'll take flight. I'm next level, I'm franchise.
You are winner, Julia Rene.
Good morning, buff babes and bros. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Julia Rene and I'm an IFBB wellness pro. And today we are actually going to be doing something completely different. We are going to be doing 3 different workouts that we have never done before. So I took the liberty of downloading ClassPass and I am trying out 3 completely different workout classes that I haven't tried. So I'm a little scared because I'm just very used to lifting weights and these are completely different and I feel like I'm gonna get really winded very fast. So I'm gonna try them out so that I can give you guys my honest and full opinion of it and then we can see whether it's worth going to or not. I had to buy sticky socks.
It feels like I can't hold
on. So when I got in, I was super impressed because the place looked hella bougie. I had to buy a pair of sticky socks so my feet wouldn't slide off the machine, which was kind of strange. The machine is actually called a reformer, but it looks kind of like a death trap. It has a lot of different function and it might be intimidating to someone who isn't used to it, but just like figuring out how machines work at a gym, I'm sure it's very similar. They also have a ball and a hoop that they give you to use later on during class. It seems like a lot of equipment to be using for one workout class. There was also 3 different spring colors, and each spring color represented a different amount of resistance. Red being the most resistant, blue being the least amount. Throughout the class, the instructor would tell you what springs to put on and which ones to take off for each exercise, depending on the, I guess, difficulty for each workout. We started stretching a little bit and then we started warming up our legs. Then we went into some glute work using the ball. We had to squeeze the ball and hip thrust at the same time, which was actually a lot more challenging than I was expecting. Then we did this thing called 100s where we did 100 taps on the sides of our body and held our abs up, and that was actually really difficult. This is when I realized my core is very, very weak. Then we moved in some upper body movements like push-ups and a couple different fly variations using these giant hand loops that were on the sides. I was having some difficulty figuring out the machine, but the instructor came and helped me each time, which was really nice. Then we moved into some lower body work, mainly focusing on time under tension and stability. It was challenging because that's not something I usually do. We used different muscles throughout this movement, like the tiny muscles in between your legs and squeezing the hoops in between as well, which is also something that I'm not really used to. It was very slow paced and focused on a small burn. After we finished with a crap ton of abs, and this is the only hard part of the class for me because I obviously need to work on my ab strength a lot. Then we did some cool down stretches. Hello guys. So we just finished class and I am going to kind of go over the entire class, what I thought of it, who I think it would be best for. But first I want to grab a coffee.
Hi, welcome to Starbucks. This is Brittany. What can I get started for you today?
Hi, can I get a grande blonde Americano with a splash of oat milk and 2 pumps of sugar-free vanilla syrup.
You got it. What else for you?
Can you add 1 Splenda?
Of course.
And that's it.
All right, 417. Come on down.
Thank you. All right, now that we got our coffee, let's chit chat about that workout. It's hot. I always get too excited. Okay. So my true thoughts about that class is, first, I'm probably never going to do it again. And I'll tell you why. It was a lot of fun. And it was really cool to do stuff that was different, but it was way too easy for me. So, as y'all saw in some of the video footage, there were springs, and you attach the springs onto the huge platform, and that adds weight. So there's like a yellow spring, a blue spring, and a red spring. Red spring is obviously like the heavier one, and the yellow springs are the lighter ones. So if you guys are like me and like you're used to lifting heavy and you're relatively, I know, good at it, then it's actually super, super light. So it's hard for you to get a good workout. So I was having to use like the heaviest weights on it, and it still wasn't, you know, challenging enough. But I do, however, think that this is a really awesome class to do if you are first starting out, because not only do they do a lot of movements that are gym movements, so there was like leg presses, there was tricep extensions, there was bicep curls, there was so many things that you do in the gym that you can do on that machine. And if you're, for one, like you're scared of going into the gym, you know, it's intimidating, because it can be. And if you're also scared of all of the machines and you don't know what they do, that class is perfect because it's one machine and you can do all of the things on the machine. Cool down. Didn't work. I'm gonna take the lid off. However, so I don't think I'll go back and do that class, but it was fun. So I kind of left there feeling like I wasn't really sweating. Not that sweat is an indicator of a good workout, but usually when I leave, like my legs are hurting, I feel like accomplished. I'm like, yay! You know, I went heavier on my lifts. The challenging part of that class was the abs. So all of those girls in there were kicking my ass with the abs. So that was a wake-up call that my abs are weak as hell. Even though everything else is very strong, my abs need a lot of work. So that class is incredible for abs, because there's a bunch of different things that you do. You know, they had you do these sled pulls, and they had you do like the crisscross, and there's added resistance to it, either with the machine with the springs, or with the ball, or with a like compression band. So it's a lot of like time under tension. So I do think that I'm gonna be sore tomorrow, because my abs were worked, and they're rarely ever worked that way. So sorry, mama. Yeah, that's what I did like about that class, however, was that it was a lot of challenge for my abs. So, all in all, probably won't ever do it again. It was a lot of fun to kind of switch things up. Didn't leave feeling like strong and like, oh yeah, we did it. That's just my personal opinion, because I like to lift heavy. So this is good for anybody that's kind of like starting and getting into lifting. It's less intimidating. And, you know, if you want your ass kicked in some abs, definitely go and do that. So I will see you guys at our next workout class. This is going to be something that I actually think is literally going to kick my ass. Okay, it is Tuesday. It is the very next day, and we are going to our next workout. So I got me a green monster. Because I have a feeling for this class, I'm gonna need it. Let's do this! So when I first got into class, the instructor let me borrow gloves. The class provided them, I guess. I saw other people bringing their own gloves and also wrapping their hands, which I seemed like it would be a really good idea. And later on, I would find out that it was a good idea to wrap your hands because it was a lot of pressure on my hands all at once. Anyways, I just continued and kept my socks on, so hopefully that would provide some sort of cushioning. The room was full of hanging bags, and each bag had a number on it, and the screen would tell you which bag had the most impact, which was really motivating to me to get my number up because I like things to be a competition. So I figured that was really fun. Basically, whoever hit the bag the hardest is the winner in my eyes. So we started by doing a 5-minute HIIT workout, which had me dying immediately because I never do HIIT at all. I do steady state cardio, and I was definitely not used to it. So we did jumping jacks, high knees, jump squats, push-ups, mountain climbers, and shoulder taps, working on stability and holding your abs together. Anyways, then we did some dynamic stretching, and then after that, we were told to put our gloves on. The instructor would call out movements and then show you how to do them a couple of times. And for me, I'm a visual learner, so I had to continue to watch the instructor do it. And she had to sometimes come over and teach me how to do it a couple of different times because I have a hard time remembering more than like 3 or 4 different numbers in a row. So once I kind of just let my guard down and really just started enjoying the class, it was easier for me to not focus so much on doing everything perfectly. But we would do a couple of combinations and then wait until the round was over, and then we can take a break. And every time the round ended, it was like, the entire class was so tired and would wipe off their pouring sweat and grab a lot of water. At this point, I was obviously dying, but I was having so much fun. It was really fun just punching and kicking the crap out of the bag. Not that I'm like an angry person, but it was definitely enjoyable. My hands and feet were also really hurting at this point because it was a constant pressure of hitting and kicking and hitting and kicking. So it was starting to hurt a lot. So this is where those hand wraps probably would have came in. But of course, we ended up finishing the class with a lot of abs, which are now my kryptonite. That was quite literally the most intense, hardest, fun thing I have ever done in my entire life. At first, I was like, okay, what? You want me to remember all of this stuff? I, for one, am really bad at remembering steps. Like, I'm not good at like memorizing things. It's just never been my thing. So if they give me like more than like 3 things to do, I'm like, what? I need it like really slowed down. So that's just a little bit hard for me. But as I was continuing in the class, I got a little bit better. And the more I just kind of like let go of thinking too much and just doing it, within the first 5 minutes, I was already pouring sweat because it starts off with kind of like a HIIT style warm up. And then it goes into more of the kickboxing stuff. But in between the kickboxing stuff, you're also doing some body weight stuff. So you'll either do like mountain climbers, or you'll do burpees, or you'll do jump squats, stuff like that. That makes it that much more difficult. But oh my God, that was literally so much fun. People tell me that I would have liked this, and I just have never tried it before, but this is something that I'm considering doing every single week. So would I recommend kickboxing? 100% yes. If you are wanting to put on a significant amount of muscle, I wouldn't recommend doing it too often because it is a real high intensity cardio. That's why I'm probably only going to be doing it like once a week or twice a month, if that. And that'll just be like my workout for the entire day. I won't do anything else but that because I have a feeling that burns a lot of calories. I don't even have anything to track it. But once I do, oh my God, that is going to be something to look into. I also do think this is perfect for somebody that absolutely hates cardio on a machine. If you just hate staying in one spot on a treadmill or on a Stairmaster, this is the thing for you, because you are going to be burning a lot of calories and you have someone standing there telling you what to do and you can't really like stop because there's other people around you. So there's a lot of accountability. So I freaking loved that. And I'm going to be doing that more often because I got so much, not that I'm like a angry person, but I just enjoy being very like physical. Like when I'm at the gym, I grunt, I yell, I go really heavy and hard. And when I'm in there doing the kickboxing craps, I could do it in there. I was like, ah! Ah! It was freaking so much fun. 100% recommend. All right, I will see you tomorrow for the next workout class we're trying. Okay, it is the next day, and we are on to our next workout. We are going to Inner Divas, and we are doing something that I'm completely scared about, and I think is actually going to be very, very difficult. So let's do it. So for the start of class, we did about a 5-minute warm-up. We started with upper body by doing a lot of shoulder mobility and small movements to stretch out the wrists, which I thought were really strange, but later realized why this was so important. Although it really didn't look like much, in this way, I haven't moved my joints, and it actually was burning. I started to get a shoulder pump, which is really funny. Then we moved into some neck rolls, really loosening the neck, which was always stiff for me, and it really hurts when I go all the way looking down. And then we started focusing on stretching out the hamstrings. We went into like a frog-like position with our knees bent, and then we would straighten our legs and had like an ungodly hamstring stretch. We did that a couple of times. And then we would move from one leg to the other, stretching out each individual hamstring. We also did some yoga movements, which I thought was interesting to do in a pole dancing class. We did like a cat-cow and then a downward dog. And then we stood by the pole and did a body weight hamstring curl on our toes. So we would stand on our toes and then like flick our leg up like a hamstring curl, which was actually really challenging. A lot of these movements seemed super easy, but by focusing on doing them really intentionally, they're actually very difficult. And then of course, again, we did some abs. And I feel like all of these classes had me doing a crap ton of abs, which is a sign that maybe I need to be doing them more often. Then the fun part actually began. The first thing we did was we learned a pole walk, which was essentially just walking around the pole in a circle, which was a piece of cake. So I thought. After everyone would get each individual movement, then we would move on and the instructor would direct us on another movement that we would learn. The next one we did, I can't remember exactly, but it was some sort of spinny thing that we did, and it ended up being one of my favorite ones regardless. We practiced that for a while, and then we would move into another one, which was a little bit more challenging each time. She encouraged us to try each movement on each side so that we didn't favor one over the other. And then I started noticing that the amount of spinning I was doing, I was starting to get dizzy, and I was like, how do people do this without getting really dizzy? But we had to use our thighs a lot so that we can squeeze them and hold onto the pole and try not to move. So it was a lot of like rubbing against the thighs. It's a lot harder than it looks for sure. Then things started to get even harder. We did this one movement where we held ourselves up for as long as we could. And this is when I realized that I wasn't as strong as I thought I was, at least not holding up my body. And I could never do this professionally because my hands are way too sweaty and I kept falling off. And then after that, we did a movement, I believe it was called the Jasmine, which was super hard, but ended up being my favorite. And I ended up getting it at the very end, which was really awesome. You had to wrap one leg around the pole and hold yourself up on the ground, which was I think it was like the ground Jasmine. I don't know, the floor Jasmine. And I got that one pretty easily. And then there was one called the floating Jasmine where you held up your whole body at the same time. And then it took me a couple of tries, but I was really determined to get it. So I was basically floating and holding my body up while having my legs wrapped around the pole, which was really, really cool. And it made me feel like a badass, honestly. After a lot of sweaty hands and failed attempts, I got it and I was floating.
done with class, people, and oh my God, that was so much fun. And boy, is that really, really hard. Like, that is a strength that is like no other. I like to think that I'm pretty strong, with the weights, but as far as like holding up your own body weight, oh my God, this has been an eye-opener for me, just this whole experience. And that is a class that I definitely recommend for anybody because it requires so much just of your own body strength. And I feel like that can help you with so many other things that you're doing in life, in the gym. And I'm for sure going to be doing that class again. It is kind of hard to decide what was my favorite class, if it was the kickboxing or the pole dancing. I really can't choose. I would say as far as like getting a hard workout in where you're like sweating and you know that you've burned like a ton of calories, definitely the kickboxing. But I would say something that's a little bit more fun and expressive and still a huge challenge as far as like having to hold yourself up. Definitely the pole dancing class. So I am going to be doing both of these and it was so much fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is something different that I was really excited to do. And I will continue to do the kickboxing and the pole dancing classes. Not so much the Pilates classes, but it was worth a shot. So I love you all so much and you are more powerful than you think. Bye.